The theater lights dimmed, and a strange silence spread across the crowd. Nobody expected anything extraordinary when a young girl in simple clothes slowly walked onto the stage. The judges smiled politely, assuming this would be another ordinary audition among hundreds of others. But there was something mysterious in her eyes, a quiet confidence that hinted at something unbelievable. As she introduced herself, she explained that she had spent years listening to birds in forests, parks, and mountains, learning their sounds the way musicians learn songs. The audience exchanged confused glances. Some even chuckled softly, wondering how bird sounds could possibly impress anyone in a talent competition. Then the girl closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and suddenly released the most realistic bird call anyone had ever heard. It wasn't just similar to a bird. It sounded alive, wild, and completely natural. The entire hall froze in shock. People looked around the ceiling as if a real bird had somehow entered the theater. One judge leaned forward with widened eyes, while another whispered, "No way." The sound echoed with incredible detail, from the delicate chirps to the fluttering rhythm that perfectly matched nature itself. At that moment, the atmosphere changed completely. The crowd realized they were witnessing something rare, something almost impossible. This wasn't just imitation. It felt like the girl could communicate with nature in a language humans had forgotten long ago. Every person in the room became completely silent, waiting to hear what she would do next. As the performance continued, the girl began creating different bird sounds one after another, each more astonishing than the last. She mimicked tropical parrots with sharp, colorful whistles, then shifted seamlessly into the haunting cries of eagles soaring high above mountains. The transitions were flawless. Her throat, breath control, and timing worked together like a living orchestra. Even wildlife experts in the audience looked stunned, because the sounds were unbelievably accurate. The judges could hardly believe that every sound came from one human voice. One audience member covered their mouth in disbelief, while another stood up to record the moment on a phone. The girl didn't just copy sounds, she captured emotions. When she imitated a lonely bird calling into the night, the theater suddenly felt emotional and hauntingly beautiful. When she recreated the cheerful morning songs of small forest birds, smiles spread across every face in the crowd. It felt as though the entire stage had transformed into a living jungle filled with invisible creatures. Some people even closed their eyes because they could vividly imagine forests, rivers, and sunrise skies through her sound alone. The performance became more than entertainment. It became an experience that transported everyone into nature itself. The judges began nodding at each other with expressions of complete amazement. One of them finally pressed the golden buzzer-style button in excitement, unable to contain the emotion anymore. The crowd exploded into cheers so loud that the walls shook, but even amid the noise, the girl remained calm and focused, fully connected to the magical sounds flowing from within her. What made the performance even more incredible was the story behind her talent. During the interview segment, she revealed that she grew up near a forest where she spent most of her childhood alone, listening carefully to birds for hours every single day. While other children played games or watched television, she sat quietly beneath trees, studying every tiny sound around her. At first, people thought her hobby was strange. Friends laughed at her, neighbors called her unusual, and some even told her that imitating birds would never become anything meaningful. But she never stopped practicing. She explained that birds became her teachers, her comfort, and her closest companions during difficult times in life. Whenever she felt sad or lonely, she would go outside and listen to nature speaking through songs and calls. Over time, her ears became so sensitive that she could identify different species simply by hearing a few notes. She trained herself to control her breathing, shape sounds with her tongue, and reproduce complex rhythms naturally. Her dedication was unbelievable. Some days she practiced for 10 hours straight until her throat hurt, determined to perfect every sound. Hearing her story changed the mood inside the theater completely. The audience no longer saw just a talented performer. They saw a young woman who transformed loneliness into art and passion into something extraordinary. One judge became emotional, and admitted that this was one of the most unique talents ever seen on the show. Another judge said that in a world filled with artificial entertainment and digital effects, her performance reminded everyone of the forgotten beauty of nature. The audience responded with thunderous applause, inspired not only by her talent, but by her journey of persistence and self-belief. Then came the most unforgettable moment of the entire night. The girl announced that she wanted to perform one final sequence, a conversation of birds at sunrise. The theater lights dimmed into soft golden colors, creating the atmosphere of an early morning forest. Slowly, she began with the gentle chirping of tiny sparrows waking up with the first sunlight. The sounds echoed softly through the hall, delicate and peaceful. Then more bird calls layered in one by one, robins singing sweet melodies, crows calling in the distance, owls fading away into silence as dawn arrived, and majestic hawks crying above the mountains. Every sound blended together perfectly, like a symphony created by nature itself. The audience sat completely frozen, afraid to even breathe too loudly and ruin the magical moment. Some people had tears in their eyes because the performance felt deeply emotional and strangely nostalgic, reminding them of peaceful mornings, childhood memories, and the beauty of the natural world. Suddenly, the girl produced a call of a rare exotic bird with such astonishing realism that several people instinctively looked upward again, convinced a real bird was flying somewhere inside the theater. The judges burst into laughter and shock at the same time, unable to comprehend how one person could create such perfection using only a human voice. By the time she finished the final note, the entire audience jumped to their feet in a massive standing ovation. The applause lasted for several minutes without stopping. Some audience members shouted her name, while others wiped tears from their faces. It was no longer just a talent show performance. It had become a once-in-a-lifetime moment that people knew they would never forget. Within hours, clips of her audition spread across social media platforms all over the world. Millions of people watched the video repeatedly, trying to understand how her sounds could be so realistic. Comments flooded the internet with reactions like, "This can't be real. She sounds better than actual birds. And nature gave her a supernatural gift." Wildlife lovers, musicians,